Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Montego Ramon back with another video with the Risers X channel where we rise to the occasion, man. We about to hop in these charts. It's looking crazy behind me, I ain't gonna lie. We got stuff on the walls, we got things going on. All right, as y'all can see, immediately we hop into this chart. I've gone from being up over 1,000 ticks to now being down 160. I'm not sure where we're going to now, man. The only thing I can see below this is some major lows, or we might have to sweep before we come back up. And I'm just like, whatever. So we're pulling back. I'm gonna just probably let things ride. I don't know if we're gonna turn around and come back up. I'm gonna be honest with you. We still have major highs above this, previous highs above this that we can get to. We've been holding this level of resistance pretty well. As you can see, price been coming down here and rejecting so hard, man. So this thing has the potential to really sell off into these, previous lows for this huge range we have right here. So it has the ability to do that. So I'm kind of sitting on it, like whether I should. So this is what we're talking about anyways. Let me talk to you guys. All right. So look, we all know what uptrend and downtrends are, right? Everybody's maybe not familiar with certain candlestick patterns or just certain price action movements, right? So we've come from this downtrend here, right? We were downtrending here for the most part, right? Sold off. We got a shifter structure here when price came up to here and then came back and made this higher low and then now shot up here, right? That was huge, right? Price continued a little higher, filling this range in, and then we got a nice pullback into this level. Would have been a nice area for entry, or maybe you didn't take that the first time and then you saw this come into almost even high. It was slightly above this previous high, but then we made another higher low, and that might have been enough on the close of this candle for you to be like, hey, I'm entering this trade. You know what I mean? I'm entering this trade right here, right? And so we shoot to, all right, when we do that, we shoot to this high, right? Kind of get another little high right here after some higher lows, and we have a nice pullback, and then we come back right up to previous highs. Don't mind this little thing structure right here. We had made a little mistake, but whatever. And now we have the potential to potentially slide back down into like this level, create a higher low, come back into this level, potentially come back here before we start making our way up again. Potentially, that's one idea I'm potentially looking at, right? We would wait on another shifter structure if we came down to these levels, or you could take it instantly as price come down into these levels potentially, right? We have lows, we have even lows down here that and gaps in that we probably need to fill on the higher time frame. I don't know. Let's go to the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, this probably might be a daily low. We came from this previous level of support right here. We got a bounce right here. We came back, swept that low, filled this gap, which also was a price gap. Y'all can see here on a 1 hour or lower time frame, and then we immediately filled that and shot up, guys. And we have levels, like I said, below here we could potentially get to before we decide to really pick it. I don't really see us going below this level. This level is like perfect because you can see this level of previous resistance where we were rejecting from, and then finally we had to pull back and broke all the way through, going to new all-time highs. But then we got this pullback, and this pullback is really looking like we might get into this area overall before we shoot up. It's looking like we might get into, just off this overall movement, it's looking like we might get into this area before we start to shoot up potentially. Unless we just all of a sudden turn around, but I don't know, man. The momentum is really starting to shift. We made this lower high, and then now we can almost expect this thing to make a lower low, right? And really start to, right? So I'll walk through that. So, but right, we was making this. We came off this high, which was getting close to that. We made a higher low, made a higher high was expected on that one, and then now we made a higher low. and then we made right here, came back and made a lower high, right? So if we switched and made a lower high, we could expect almost a lower low to dip down into this level, potentially before we get up. And to me, that would be too much like right, not even too much like right. That would be a likely characteristic and move by NQ to go and create liquidity before we take off to all-time highs, because we're going to new all-time highs because S&P just hit new all-time highs, and then Dow Jones and NQ is typically, those three typically move similar and follow suit with each other. Maybe not always at the same time, but typically they do. So eventually we can expect we might get knocked out of this trade. I might cut it early. I'm also gonna buy a new account soon. See, we're already down 25. Don't really want to risk more than that, for if I'm being honest. Because I got 3 times that on the board. So I might just go ahead and cut it here because we got a lot of momentum. Maybe I'll give it a chance, this candle a chance to close in the next couple of minutes on the 1 hour. Come on, man. So this candle's gonna close on the 1 hour, but that's a lot of momentum, man. We got a nice shifter structure here. And I'll show you what that shifter structure looks like. Shifter structure is important to understand because a shifter structure looks like, I'll show y'all what that looks like really quickly, right? So a shifter structure looks like this. Let's say we're in an uptrend, right? So we come from a low, we make a high, we make a higher low, we make a higher high, we make a higher low, we make a higher high, and then boom, right? So now what we need to do for this to become a shifter structure, we need a break under that last swing low, right? We need a break under that last swing low, because anything above that is basically going to be terms for a continuation or starting to range, right? So if we get a break under this previous low, right? Boom, and then we get that's making a lower low, right? Because it's lower than its previous low. And then we get a lower high made, boom. Now we can almost expect either an even low or a lower low to be made, right? So we know we could probably at least get to this area, and then we might potentially be able to get down to these levels and start and really catch a trend like that, right? And I'll show you on the opposite end, right? On the opposite end on that shifter structure, let's say you're in a downtrend, right? You're making a low, you made a lower high, you made a lower low, you made a lower high, you made a lower low. This is the structure of a downtrend, right? And then all of a sudden, what we're looking for again, that shifter structure. So the shifter structure, we need to break that previous swing high now because we're in a downtrend, whereas in the uptrend, it was a swing low. The reason why is because those are important areas where price is showing that we created a corresponding level of support or resistance. So in this case, we were creating these corresponding levels of resistance, right? Resistance is your ceiling, support is your floor. So this was potentially the first ceiling we pushed down from or sold off from. Boom, we made that lower low, then we came down, we made a lower high. That's a new ceiling right there, new area of resistance. We made a lower low, creating a new area of support, and then right here we made a new area of resistance, right? But it's all in the fashion of creating lower lows and lower highs for the downtrend, and also me supporting the evidence of the corresponding structure and supporting resistance that matches with the trend, right? So to continue on with my topic of the showing what the shifter structure looks like theoretically in the drawing, I'm continuing on with the downtrend. Now you see we was making lower lows, lower highs, right? And now we're going to make this final low, and then this was the last swing point, swing high for the downtrend, and we go break past that, right? And then now we can expect a higher low to be made, right? And then we can start to get higher highs and higher lows being made as on a shifter structure, right? Because we went from a downtrend to an uptrend, right? So I just showed y'all the uptrend to a downtrend, then I just showed you the downtrend to the uptrend. So in this case right here, I'll show you, right? So overall, we started to kind of create, we're still pretty much in the uptrend for the most part. And so we had made this high, we made this higher low, shot up here. This is actually a lower high, which we potentially could be a shifter, the beginning of looking for a shifter structure, right? Boom, In the lower time frame though, we see that based on this trend, watch this, I'm gonna show y'all this trend, the smaller trend going on within the trend is we came down from this low, we made this high, we made a higher low, we made a higher high, we made a higher low, we made a higher high, we made a higher low, we made a higher high, and then boom, on this move, this placement right here, we break under this last swing low. Remember, I told you the swing low was the important structural point to march forward in the uptrend on the shift the structure to a downtrend. Right, so we take this and we go shoot past that, showing that we have a potential shift to structure. On the way down, we do that, and then we also make a small fair value gap in here. Y'all know I love to trade the fair value gaps, so this is one of my strategy moves right here. I was asleep when this happened. I actually wasn't asleep, I just wasn't watching the market, and I didn't set any alerts, right? So we had a pullback into that area, got an immediate rejection, creating this lower high and staying within the parameters of a shifter structure for the going into the downtrend. And then we made this lower high. So we made this, we was making these higher highs and higher lows. We made this high, had this create this lower low, potentially starting the downtrend. Then we made a lower high, and then now we're making lower lows, right? So we can probably expect a lower high and then a continuation down, right? And so this is where our opportunities lie. Our opportunities are going to lie on these pullbacks for the downtrend at the swing highs. On the uptrend, it's going to be at these swing lows here, here, and here, right? To take it, because you want to get in on the pullbacks to continue following the trend. You don't want to get in at the top and it's selling off. This is what rookies do, right? They don't know what the hell going on in the market. They think the market running up. They think they're supposed to chase. Boom, right? So that's what we don't want to do. So that was shout out to my dad and his wife, Gucci and Chanel, because I wanted to do that very specific breakdown because they're beginners in this, and I got some other people as beginners as well, like my sisters and them, and that I want to like really give a clear breakdown of what's going on in this point, at least right now. So and even for my new traders, you know what I mean, like people that want to get into this. So people ask me all the time, they want to get into it. They're a little apprehensive and like, I don't know, you know. And it's like, hey, look, you're going to take L's in this. That doesn't mean you're not successful. You only fail when you quit. You know, and as you go through the challenges, continue to grab the lessons, you'll learn and it will start to make more sense. It's just like playing any other game, guys. I promise you'll get it down. Okay, so that basically explains what's going on with that. I don't want anything below this point where I have my stop loss. I don't want to be in any, that was so loud. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't want anything below that point. So that's where we're at with that trade. Let's see what's going on with ES, S&P 500. Yeah, basically follow suit. It didn't get in significant breaks. We got a shift of structure. It was doing some liquidity sweeping over here as we got a shift of structure. Hasn't been super major yet. It was basically there. So like you'll see it right here. Let me get this out the way. You see the shift of structure, but this is a kind of a lower time frame movement going on. It's not super significant yet, but it could be very crucial, right? So we went on to make these higher highs, higher lows. This is not a super, this lower high right here is not super significant, but this is. And then we break right below that, boom. This right here, this wick right here is an example of a liquidity sweep where price is going up to grab orders, take out stop losses, because you have a whole wick just taking out this previous high. It's not super important because it's not a body closure of the candle, but the wick is important to understand, right? And so then we continue down, making lower lows and lower highs, right? And we got a clear shift of structure, in my opinion, to head down into like these levels. So NQ might follow suit with this, right? NQ might follow suit with this. I could probably close out this alert, boom, close out that alert. And then we have another fair value gap below this one. I'm on the 1 hour doing this analysis. I want to see what the 4 hours looking like as well. Time frames are important too, man. A lot of people don't know that, like, hey, higher time frames take more precedence over anything. And look right here, this is important right here because I don't want y'all to just get confused with this thing right here. We just had a fair value gap that I potentially think was the cause of rejection here. I just wanted to fill this imbalance. It's not the total cause, but it's a confluence nonetheless to watch out for. And then we see we rejecting out of there. And then right down here, we have a fair value gap. And as you can see, I'm not using this third candle. That third candle is the fourth candle in this instance, because the fair value gap, it starts with this small white candle here. Well, I'll show y'all. The fair value gap is a 3 candle move typically, right? So you have this first candle, this white candle here, this one right here. Then you have the second candle right here, just the body. And then you have the third candle right here, right? And so what you want to do is watch the wicks on the first candle right here. See this first candle, the white, small white doji almost candle with the long white wick right here. And then you have the third candle with this long black wick up here, and then the small black wick out here. Now right here where this candle is, the middle candle, you see no overlap in price from the third candle and the first candle. And that's where your fair value gap lies. So I'm connecting the low of really this fourth candlestick because it came inside and rejected from the fair value gap originally, right? Dipping below the low of this candle, the third candle. And so I'm gonna use that right now because we had some kind of retracement to it in the rejection as the top end of the fair value gap, and this the bottom half right here at this wick. And so this is for fair value gap hasn't been fully mitigated yet, and project price is subject to get in there and refill and fill that imbalance. All right, and then we have more major fair value gaps down here. I think we moved up to the 4 hour. That's why this is probably not touching these wicks and things like that. Same here. I'll go back down to the 1 hour. Let's see. Okay, I just don't have them touching because I'm using the wick from here, from these candles, and then this candles. I haven't even been using those levels of support and resistance, which they was doing some consolidation inside before they broke down to new levels and then pulled back, and then, man, there's a lot going on there. Starting to get a rejection on NQ right now, actually, guys. As you can see, we were down 300 candles, and then this candle rejection right now, we're only down 160. Let's go to YM real quick. All right, YM, we're basically getting the same thing. We had a shift of structure over here, which I kind of was drawing here. I'll just delete this. Let's do this. So I'll go through that process again. So you got these highs and lower highs being made, right? Boom, even if they're small. Then you got this one, boom. And so, yeah, right here, we started making some downtrend. No, not a huge breaker structure there. This created that breaker structure right here, right? We created this lower high, lower low. This is kind of a lower low. And then this is right here was super important because now we had created a level of support right here, and then price broke through, pulled back in, turning it into resistance, and then sold off, continue to make lower lows and lower highs, right? And so I think we're gonna dip back into here before we turn around and do anything. All right, cool, let's go to gold. All right, cool. Gold is flying right now. Like I said, y'all seen me miss that trade last week, and gold has been on the run, literally in the uptrend. We just been uptrending with a little bit of consolidation and with that. So you can see we probably, so you see we kind of came from this low, say lower high, higher low. We said, hey, this is mostly an even high. Well, it's higher than this high, so we call it a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, basically higher high. We had a little bit of consolidation, but it's a higher high than this, making it higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? So we could probably expect and tell me if I'm wrong, guys. You can expect a lower high to be made, I mean, a lower high to be made and then a higher high to be made, right? And so we want to get on the pullbacks because we just identified the trend. We know where it's going. Simple trade, man, that would have been up so crazy right now and made a really nice trade win. So we're down 45 ticks now on NQ. And I'm pretty much done with this video, man. That was been 20 minutes, man. And we went through each chart and what we're looking for. I haven't set any alerts or anything, but man, this is what I'm seeing so far. I just kind of want to analyze and talk about where price is at, where it's going, and where the next opportunity is going to lie. We always looking to get in on the pullbacks. We want to stay on a higher time frame because those take priority over the lower time frames and give us a clearer. It just blacks out all the noise. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to all of the consolidation, ranging, price movements and stuff like that. This is more, it's gonna be more structured in those higher time frames and stick to the structure, right? So that's all I got for y'all, man. It's y'all boy Montego. It's your boy Montego Ramon, man, where we rise to, with the Rise X channel, where we rise to the occasion. I might show a little bit of the South Project trip. I really didn't show much. I just show y'all kind of what a little bit of what it was looking like from, yeah, I really didn't take too many videos, man. I didn't take too many videos, so I'll show that a little bit. You can see how the water looked and what the city, the beach, the island skyline looked like a little bit. Nothing too crazy. All right, y'all. All right, man. Happy trading this week. Make sure y'all taking care of yourselves well, making good decisions, drinking plenty of water, eating your fruits and veggies, getting in the gym, doing your reading, you know, meditations, whatever you do to find peace and continue to practice peace, concentration, and focus. All right, man. Y'all enjoy. Peace.